Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Hope you're all doing well today. I was just checking to make sure the volume and everything is good. I've been messing around with that. I haven't been happy with the settings yet. So hopefully today I have it kind of dialed in. It's been kind of clipping. So I turned it down a little bit and adjusted it, and hopefully it's coming through loud and clear. Oh, I got to turn my phone off too. Sheesh. My volume. It sounds good on my phone. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good today. So we are going to turn up one of those lifesaver blanks that the Frank sent in, the lifesavers that he cast in resin, and we're going to turn one of them up. I'm pretty excited. While we were casting these, I was saying that, you know, they are transparent, and they are, some of the, like the yellow ones kind of are a little bit disappearing. It's kind of interesting how that works in resin. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this turns out. I'm pretty excited to turn it up. So you can tell, one thing that I forgot to do yesterday, I probably would have drilled this out and filled it with resin. I didn't really think about getting that all prepared. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to drill and tap this straight into the blank. It'll be fine. But you will see the threads. So I know a lot of people don't like that, but I don't find it too bad. So we're going to be using one of the stainless bottle stoppers for that, and the stainless bottle stoppers universal mold, and it has this bushing kind of thing, and that tells you how far to go down, how far to turn it. I really like this universal mandrel, and they have different bushings for different kits, and it's pretty cool. So you can see we have some other cool things that we got pulled out. Look at these guys. I'm really digging the twists. Those look pretty sweet. I'm thinking we probably should have added a little bit more of the starlight to these. I kind of forget sometimes, you know, this looks great, but when you turn it into a pen blank, you kind of need a little bit more. It's the same idea with mica powder. So next time I think I would put a little bit more of the starlight in there, but these things look pretty sweet. You will get little chunks when you turn it away, but I don't know if the starlight's gonna turn out as much, you know what I mean? But those are cool. And then we got our, look at these things. These are the ones we loaded up with starlight glitter and silver mica powder. Pretty crazy looking. I think these are going to be pretty wicked to turn. So excited about those guys. And then we got one. This one's for Jen. This is just straight silver mica powder and super crazy amount of starlight glitter. So I'll be saving that. And then we got 5 of the lifesaver blanks. So how this is going to work is these are going to go into the mystery boxes. So not everybody's going to get one of each of these things, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got enough. Everybody in the mystery boxes is going to get one of these. So these probably are going to go in next, like the next round, possibly. I have a feeling is how that's going to work for the mystery boxes, because I think we have them filled up for this month, and those will be going out at the end of the month. So pretty exciting stuff. I'm excited about turning this thing up. It'll be pretty fun, I think. Let's see. Who else we got here? Ann's here now. Kim's here. Put more in here. Well, I think we really did it up on these ones. I don't think we needed that much, but we'll see. It should be kind of fun to see what everybody how they turn out. Let's see here, and I saw DJ Coin is here. What's up? Cool. All right, so I'm gonna head over to the lathe. Again, first thing we're gonna do is drill out use a drill bit, drill out, and then we're gonna tap threads directly into this blank, and that'll let us mount it onto our universal mandrel, and then we'll start turning this thing up. So let's switch over to the lathe. Which one is it? That one. There it is. Up close and personal over at the lathe. Oh, I lost my bushing. Don't lose the bushing. All right, so first things first, we're gonna get the 4-jaw chuck out. This is the Easy Chuck. This is my favorite. I love this thing. It's an Easy Wood Tools item. I love how quick jaw changes are on this thing. This thing's got a couple features that no other chuck has. So it's got this ring. I think they call it a speed ring. and so you can quickly open the jaws without having to pull out a tool. You know, it still has the tool here to crank it down, but you can get things kind of mounted in there, and it's really nice. And then the jaw changes are pretty simple. Let me zoom out a little bit. Might be a little bit kind of close. You just use this little tool or anything that'll just pop this, and then you just pull all your jaws out. And there are other chucks that have kind of quick change jaws. I actually had one of the Nova ones. However, the drawback to all the other ones is you can't just slam the new jaws in any position. These things, it doesn't matter. Most of the chucks, they're like numbered, and you have to get the jaws in a certain space. This thing, it doesn't matter. They all work in any space, and you're up and running really fast. I really love that. All right, so we're gonna do it like this. And again, this is what I mean by these speed jaws, so I can get this thing set pretty close. It's not falling out. And then we just crank it down a little bit. Love it. Easy chuck. It's so easy. All right, so we're gonna use let's see, it's a 5, oh, I always forget which, I have a drill bit that's specific for this. I think it's 5/16. Oh heck, I don't know. Let me look at this thing. Yeah, 5/16 drill bit is what you want to use. And then we'll get our drill chuck set up here. Let's see, and I got a little mark. This is a specific drill bit that I have. It's a short, stubby one, and I have a mark on it that tells me how far I got to drill. Okay. Let me get some safety glasses on. I don't want shrapnel in my eyes. All right, so here we go. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. The drilling is done. And then what we're going to use is a 3/8/16 tap, and this is a bottoming tap. You can see that it's flat. That way it can go all the way down in there. Other ones, like starter taps, have kind of a point to them, and they're tapered, and you're not going to get as far in there. So depending on what type of tapping you're doing, if you're going into a bottomed hole, you want a bottom tap. So I'm going to move this camera just a little bit so it's not right in my way. Kind of give you an overhead view, I guess. There we go. Then we're just going to slide that up, and we're doing this by hand. And we're going 1, 2, 3. Back it out a little bit to clear some of them chips. 1, 2, 3. You can just use your hand wheel. Probably easier. And I'm putting a little bit of pressure on my tailstock, not much. I'm not pushing hard. I'm just making sure that it's up there. Lumelite's really Lumelite clear for sure, and clear slow. This is clear slow. Taps really well. Most epoxies do. If you want to, you can kind of clear out some of them chips, just so things aren't getting gunked up in there and they're moving smooth. Polyester resin, I would say, is the one that is not particularly awesome at tapping threads. It's so brittle that the threads don't necessarily hold that well. Oh, sometimes your bit can kind of get untwisted. It's one of the drawbacks to a keyless chuck, but Paul's here. What's up? Okay, I think we're bottomed out now. Okay. Now, always make sure that everything's going to work before you take this apart. So get your mandrel. Just make sure that it goes all the way down. And that should be a good enough test, but I'm also going to check and make sure that my hardware fits. Typically the hardware is a little bit shorter than the mandrel, but not much is going on. Yeah, not much is going on here either. I did some backcountry snowboarding Thursday, and it was brutal out there. It was probably not a very good idea, but okay, so everything fits. I'm snowshoeing through 2 feet of powder hiking. I went about 5 or 6 miles through this stuff and didn't even really get to snowboard. It was a little bit, the conditions were pretty high avalanche risk. So I didn't actually get on any mountains. But I got some good exercise, and that's half of why I go out there to do that. All right, so this is the universal mandrel from Stainless Bottle Stoppers. I have links to all this stuff. I don't have a link to the Easy Chuck, but you can either get it on Amazon or Turner's Warehouse might sell them too. I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, they do sell Easy Wood Tools stuff, but Amazon or Easy Wood Tools website, you can get them there. But I have links to this. This is at Turner's Warehouse, the universal mandrel. The Stainless Bottle Stoppers hardware is there. And there's a couple other things that I linked to before the show. I'll try to remember to get, actually the tool that I'm going to use. We're going to turn with the Mini. I'm telling you, this is my go-to, the Mini finisher. The round finisher just indicates the round cutter. And then this is the Mini size handle. I guess I'm zoomed all the way out. But it works really well for a wide variety of things. It's like the one tool to rule them all. This thing's set up right. I have a little mark that helps me get things going. All right, so I think we're ready. I'm going to get my little bit of tailstock support going. Jason's here. How's it going? Let me get the camera rearranged for you guys too. Can I get that right like there? That ought to be good. Kind of get you zoomed in a little bit. All right. Turn on the dust collector. Got that thing. This is tight. A little bit wobbly. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to kind of shave off the end there, flatten that a bit. Go. That's a little bit better. So it's turning quite well so far. Can't really see a whole lot going on there as of right now. Get this camera pulled around here a little bit. Maybe. I got cords everywhere. There you go. So it's looking alright. I mean, like I said, you can't see a whole lot going on in there. It's kind of interesting because I think they're going to end up looking a little ghosty, possibly, because they're, again, transparent things, when you recast them, sometimes can kind of disappear a bit in the resin. But I think it's actually, there's enough color that it's not like they're like disappearing completely. So I think it's going to be kind of a cool effect, actually. Mark's here, what's up? What are you up to? You're just in time. Oh, sorry, I didn't see this. Paul casts his first clear, slow hybrid casting. The liquor bottle stopper, that's cool. It's fun, yeah. Sometimes that first like hybrid thing, because there's not a big deal with like wood or anything like that. It's the moisture that can cause issues. So sometimes those can be a little bit, that first one, you're like, it can be a little hectic, but as long as you got it nice and dry or stabilized, shouldn't really have any problems. So we got that thing matched up to the bushing down there. I want to put a little bit of a concave in the middle. I want to get further into this blank, just kind of see what those lifesaver pieces look like in there. I'm just going to start this round over. We'll go for a little bit of a cove. Out there. Alright, so far so good. We're looking pretty decent. I want to bring this down a little bit in diameter. Ah, Brian's here. Happy Saturday. I don't think I've ever made one like this before. This kind of shape. So that's kind of fun. Kind of digging that. What do you guys think? Ooh, yeah. You guys see? Let's see. Let's try and get this camera here. All right, I gotta unplug the power cable because it's just making things tough. I don't think we're gonna run out of juice. Oh, I got other problems. What's going on here? Cable issues. Why isn't it all wireless? There we go. Now we got some slack. Sorry about that. I'm gonna get you guys in here. Show you what's happening with this thing. Yeah, I think this is gonna look pretty cool. I think the lifesaver things are gonna be a little bit more subtle than you would initially kind of think, but I think it's gonna look pretty good. Alright, so let's see, I think what I'm gonna do is get you guys on the back. I'm gonna get rid of the tailstock now. I really need to make a tool holder for this thing someday. Just kind of put that there. Let's see here. Move you guys on this side. Oh, we got another cable tangle. Okay. I think what I want to do actually on the top is go for a little bit of hollowing effect. What do you guys think about that? Just a little bit, obviously we're not going to do, but let's kind of dish it out in there a little bit, as much as we can with the number one hollower here. It's been a while since I did that. It's really fun to do this on stoppers. A little bit high. stop and make sure this thing's as tight as it can be. Might have been causing some chatter. That's kind of fun. Let's keep going here. It's like an inside out thing. All right. Woo, that's kind of fun. I like that. And I broke the sharpness right there. Cut that down a little bit so it's nice and smooth everywhere. I think that's kind of fun. What do you guys think about that design? Oh, yeah, it kind of does look like a little top. It's kind of fun. Okay. So I think that's about all I want to do with this thing. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna bring you guys around to the front so you can kind of see the profile of it. That's what we did. Totally unique. I've never made anything that looks like that before, I don't think. You can see all the little shapes. It's going to clear up a little bit more once we sand and polish this thing up, obviously. I think it'll be kind of cool looking, though. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can get away with starting at 240 grit. I don't know if that's going to work. It is fairly smooth. I did a reasonable job turning it, but I may have to drop down to 180. We shall see, though. We're gonna drop the speed down to about 300, somewhere around there. I actually like, if your lathe goes in reverse, sometimes it's easier just to put it in reverse. Just sand on the top, I find anyway. So if you've never tried that before, give it a shot. Let me know what you think. So that you're not underneath trying to press up, you're just letting gravity kind of help you out. hardest thing to sand is coves and curves and things, I find. No, the Lifesavers, they were resin casts. They're not, they're made out of Alumilite clear. And somebody mentioned that, somebody said that on the live stream. They thought that I was casting actual Lifesavers. And I gotta be honest, I actually don't think that real Lifesavers would really be that problematic either. I've turned hard candies, like pepper, like candy canes, and that's pretty similar. I would imagine it's about kind of a similar, hardness, brittleness, all that kind of stuff, and those things turn pretty much fine. The biggest problem you have with turning candy like that is water. Water will melt them. So you gotta, you're not gonna wet sand for sure, and you want to get them protected. But yeah, they generally turn fine, or at least in my experience, what I've done so far. So sometime I might have to buy some Lifesavers and see how they turn. But I don't really think it'd be that big of a problem. There are far worse materials out there. Maybe if you loaded it up, I guess, okay, so that's one thing. I don't load up those candy cane blanks. And so you might have some structural stability issues, possibly. You would want to be kind of careful in that sense. It just doesn't have like the tensile strength that resin has. So Frank sent them in, and he made a silicone mold of them and cast some. It was pretty cool. He gets a little crazy with some of these castings. He likes to make little things. And he also sent in some little straw things, like kind of 1/4 inch or so pipes, resin cast in straws. So one thing about the pipes, though, that we cast for the pen blanks, they were pretty smooth surfaced, and so for the folks that are the mystery box people, and I don't have a clue who's actually going to get these out of the mystery box folks, but I'll probably just kind of randomly assign boxes. But if you get one of the pen blanks with one of like the pipe things cast in them, well, basically if you get one of the pen blanks with any of these things, just be careful and maybe have that bottle of thin CA glue handy to just give it a little bit more support, some glue just to help kind of keep everything together, because that's one of the big problems with resins is they don't like smooth surfaces. They can't like stick to it very well if it doesn't have any surface texture or something to kind of grab onto. So just be careful when you guys are turning those things. I just don't know exactly how well they're going to stay together. I think it should be okay, but otherwise I wouldn't send them out. But it will be one of those cases where you're going to want to take a little extra caution. Alright, so I just washed that off with some denatured alcohol. I think that's kind of an imperative thing in between. Wash it off with, it doesn't have to be denatured alcohol, but you need to make sure that you're washing off the dust and the possible, if there's any little grit particles that came off. That's kind of how sandpaper works. It fractures as you go, constantly exposing fresh particles. So you can have 400 grit particles sitting on there. And even if you just wipe it off or do whatever, sometimes you can get one little particle, and that's sometimes you go through the whole thing and you find you have like this one random scratch. And I think that's what causes that, is if you got little particles of stuff that you didn't clean off in between grits. Yeah, I like to, I don't know. You can wet sand from the start. My thing is, I'm in the habit of, I do 240 and 400. I go up to 400 dry. And that's partly just so that I can actually see the surface without having to like fully dry it off. Just kind of wipe it off and see if I'm missing anything. It's not as big of a deal, right, for this particular thing. It's just a habit I got into with pens. It was quicker for me. But I mean, I would kind of say that wet sanding the whole way through is actually probably a better way to go. But it's just up to you. Wet sanding is a good, well, so going off of what I was just saying, I mean, you might even want to switch your water out between grits. I usually don't do that when I get up to the polishing papers, but if you're washing all your grits in the same water, then that same issue can kind of happen. Particles of grit can get in there. Dennis is here. How's it going? Sometimes I like to get into these curves and just do a little hand, not with the lathe on, just kind of manually do this, just to make sure I'm not missing any edges or crevices. And then denatured alcohol again. This thing is going to look pretty cool, I think. Once we get it all polished up. Another little trick for sanding resins, and sometimes I'm a little bit lazy, but it's not a bad idea to sand in two different directions. And maybe, so I started with 240 grit. I can do that with the lathe spinning, and then come back on the next grit with 400 and go the opposite direction. So you're putting scratch marks in at 90 degrees to the previous ones. And that does two things. I actually think that's just kind of a better way to sand plastic, because it's a solid surface. It's not like wood where you have grain going one direction, and I mean realistically it's not 100% solid, right? So with this, you're kind of creating a cross hatch, and I think that it gives you a little bit more coverage of the sanding, like you're getting it sanded better. The grooves are not going to get kind of stuck in a 240 grit, so this is 400 grit paper. It could kind of follow the previous grooves that you had put in with the 240 grit. And you can kind of just, I don't know. Hopefully that kind of made sense, where this way you're cutting straight through those 240 grit scratches. And the other thing that this does is, so at this point now I'm going the other way. If there are any scratches that are going radially around the thing, the opposite direction, that means that you didn't get, like you're missing some 240 grit, scratches. Now, I sanded this radially with 400, so this, I'm not showing you exactly what you need to do, but I'm saying, like, assume that previously all I had done was 240. If you sand this way and you still have radial scratches, then you're not done with 400. You want to make sure that you're going until you get all those previous grit scratches out. That'll give you a visual guide to let you know that you're done and you can move on to the next grit, If you take the time to do that, every time that I do that, I get better results. Like, it's going to be glossier because for sure you've gotten all those previous grit scratches out. Sometimes it's pretty tough to tell. It looks like they're all 400 grit scratches, but I mean, to the human eye, the difference between a 400 and a 240 grit scratch amongst a bunch of other scratch marks, it's kind of tough to discern, Another way you could go is just not worry so much. Let's say you started at 120 grit or something. Not really worry so much about doing it back and forth and doing a bunch of manual sanding. But just do it on the last final grit before you're going to go into like polishing. Kind of what I'm doing here. But I will say this is tedious on your hands. Wears your finger muscles out and wrists. So a lot of people don't really do this too often. especially on like these like fine curve details on the bottle stopper. It's kind of a pain. Literally. All right, I'm gonna call that good. Now again, I'm gonna wipe it off with alcohol for you, and then we're gonna move to the wet sanding. So I like to lay down something on the bed. I got a little kind of a bucket here. Let's get you guys in just a little bit closer. There we go. And these are Zona brand paper. You get them at Turner's Warehouse. We sell them in packs. And I usually just use the green and the gray, like the first two grits, which are about 750 grit and 1100 grit, I think. Somewhere in that neighborhood. And then I move on to I used to buff, and that works fine, but I'll probably use the polish, Magic Juice polish on this. I've never actually tried it, I don't think, on a bottle stopper. But I've been getting pretty good results with that stuff on pens. And I think it would work pretty good. I wouldn't use that on larger items. I think it's just much easier on them to use buffing wheels at that point. For like, you know, bowls or, I don't know, spheres, things like that. You'd be using so much polish that it wouldn't really be worth it. But I like the polish on these types of things where this way I don't even have to take it off the lathe. And one of the little advantages is of doing it that way, where you don't have to take it off the lathe and move back and forth. If for some reason after you're done buffing you find some scratches that need sanding again, it's real easy. It's already mounted, you know. Probably not very likely, but you can kind of move back and forth between any of the grits. It's kind of nice. I usually find if you can get your resin projects up to, you know, 800, 1000, 1200 grit, at that point, the buffing wheels or your plastic polishes or any of those things, which are fairly easy, you're going to be good to go. Like if you can make sure that all of the below, you know, 1000 grit scratches are out, and all you have left is 1000 grit, then polishes and all those types of things should take care of any scratches that you can see that are left. And you'll get a nice, shiny, glossy thing, you know, project. So I usually spend a little bit more time on this, on the green one, because it is a little bit of a jump, you know. I mean, I could go up to 600 grit with just sanding. That wouldn't be a bad way to go. But I also find that if I just spend a little bit more time with the 750, then I'm fine. Takes care of the problem. But you don't want to take too big of a skip between grits. You don't want to go like 3 times as much, like 200 to 800. You're just not really going to get those 200 grit scratches out. It's going to take you forever. So you're better off kind of taking a little bit baby steps. Don't skip grits. But I think you can get away with going around close to double. Not on every grit, but you know, like 120, 240. Well, I usually go 120, 180, 240, 400, and then I skip up to 750. I would definitely not go further than twice the grit number. And that really kind of applies to most things. Wood, resin. Alright, so I think that I've polished the heck out of this at this point with this paper. So I'm gonna wipe this guy off. I need to get some new paper towels. Go with the gray one. So what's everybody up to in your shop this weekend? Any cool projects going on? Paul's working on those liquor stoppers, I think it was. So I got a video that's going to be posted tomorrow. It's on the new air filter that I'm using in my shop. So I got a new one, and I was pretty excited about it. I like the features. It's different. I used to have one of those, kind of the square ones that, typical workshop air filter that's hung from the ceiling. And I found a different design that I think works better, definitely for my shop. So I definitely appreciate it if you guys watch that video, and if you know somebody or a group where you think it would be useful to share, I'd really appreciate that. I'm working with the company. They sent the filter to me, but I reached out to contact them. I was going to get it either way, and they decided to partner up with me, and we're working together. So we're trying to get the word out. It's something a little different than, like I said, than the standard air filter. It has some pretty unique features also. Interesting things. So anyway, that'll be posted tomorrow morning. Check it out, share it around. I appreciate it. All right, this thing is looking pretty polished here. So I think I'm gonna just hit this little indentation on the top just a little bit longer. And we're gonna call that, let me just do a little bit more. There we go. I'm gonna call that a day on the gray. Okay, so I'm gonna blow this off just to get rid of any possible more moisture. It might be like between the bushing. Blow that thing off. I guess I could have shut the dust collector off a while ago. One of the advantages to wet sanding is you don't have to worry about the dust. So that is one good reason to do it. Okay, so now we're going to use the Magic Juice polish. Like I said, I don't think I've ever tried this before on a stopper. And you can get this. This is linked. Oh shoot, I didn't link to that yet. I will have a link down in the show notes later to this. You can get it at Turner's Warehouse. Let's see. Mark's printing more stuff. Nice. The jewelry box. That's cool. She's gonna love that. All right, so it's a 6-step thing. I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit here. Not a whole lot that you can see. It's super important to be close up for. But again, called Magic Juice. Start with step 1. And I'm going to get the speed going around like 1800, maybe 15, 16, somewhere around there. I'm also going to spin it forward like the normal way. So we'll have to just kind of see. I'm used to, I've only done this with pens, so I don't exactly know how much. I'm going to wipe it on first. I think I'm going to need more than I, obviously more than I use for a pen. Maybe a little bit more messy with stoppers, but stuff works pretty good. I've been pretty happy with pens. I used to always do buffing on pen blanks, but this stuff is a little bit faster than the buffing wheels, and like I said, you don't have to, set anything up. It's kind of nice. Just do it right there where you'd been working the whole time. So I've kind of switched to it. It's working pretty good. Surprisingly, I was really skeptical when I'd heard a lot about it, and I thought, well, let me try it out, but I had a method that was working great for me, and I tried it out, and I was like, wow, I like this better. When it's easier, faster, and you get better results, you kind of have to go with it. How can you argue? And I mean, that was just one step right there, and I mean, I could call that a day. That looks great. Wow. This is just after the first step of plastic polish. I mean, I could literally walk away. Like that's fine. That's good enough. We're not gonna do that, but wow. That looks pretty good. But the lifesavers, like you don't really have body to them. They're kind of like these kind of ghosty looking things in there. It's interesting. Wow, cool. I like the colors though. I mean, they just, bare minimum, I mean, what you're getting out of this is some really interesting color shapes, even if you can't really tell they're lifesavers. Oh shoot, I dropped all my, I gotta get new ones. When you drop your polishing rags into the sawdust, not a good idea. Just toss them. Make some more. That's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, Mark's pretty talented. Mark does a lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff. Okay, let's see. I'll put these up there so hopefully I don't drop another one. Yeah, it is kind of like a galaxy. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm digging the Magic Juice. I'm telling you, because I'm not a big fan of using like the pastes. They just, I don't know. I don't think that they really do that much for you. Like that you couldn't just do with, sanding and polishing papers. it seems like an extra step in most cases for me. And so I've always been kind of like, I don't know, anything that people say polishing, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Seems like a waste of time. And so I was like, I don't know, let's see how this works. And then, and then the other thing is I'm like, it's 6 steps. Good Lord, like buffing is 2 kind of. And then I was looking at like what grit they recommend you take it to, and everything just seemed like a lot more difficult than it needed to be, or than my current process was, or it would take longer. And then I did it and I was like, whoa, this is faster than the buffing. And like I said, one of my gauges also, like if I can just not really barely read the directions, try it out, and I get good results, that's a good product. If I can't figure out how to use this and I already have a method of doing something, why would I switch? I don't want to learn some new method. So that's always kind of a barometer for me. And it totally destroyed like all of, it was easy, it was fast, and it was better looking when I kind of compared. So I was like, yep, I think I'm going to be switching. Can't really argue with that. All right, so we're on to step 3 here. Like I said, I've never used this stuff for stoppers though, but it seems to be working just fine. Oh, I guess I was using my fingers there. Fingers are a great polishing paper. Okay, step 4. Sometimes I forget what step I'm on, so one of the things that I do is I put the cap somewhere else on the one that I'm working on so that I don't lose track. Yeah, today was a little bit quick, Mark L, but perfect timing. This was a kind of a fast turn. It's one of the nice things about stoppers. Kind of knock them out pretty quick. And this thing is looking, this is one of the glossiest looking stoppers that I think I've done. Like I said, I haven't used Magic Juice before on one. I'm digging it so far. Let's see, what did I miss? Cheese board, oh nice, that's cool. DOD green and Caster's Choice gold. That's a good color combo. Anxious to see that. Are you gonna post on Facebook or Instagram? All right, so step 5. Now another thing, if you already have buffing wheels and you're not really like, oh, I have to go out and buy Magic Juice now. You don't really want to care to do that. Another thing you could do that I think you're going to get about the same results really is I think what I found was, for that final, that final gloss, the polish was really kicking it up higher than the buffing wheels. And I've known that. A lot of people say, especially I would stop at White Diamond, which isn't necessarily the glossiest buffing rouge on the planet. There's also blue. There's other buffing rouges that are a little bit glossier. And I have tried the blue. I didn't really get very good results with it personally. But I have gotten good results with car polish. And so one thing you could do is, if you just really don't want to mess around with, changing things, you like the buffing system that you have, another way to go is just grab a high gloss polish, like car polish, like that final kind of scratch swirl remover, and then just hit it at the end with that. And I think you're going to get about the same results. But like I said, I kind of like the steps and not having to remove it and set up buffing wheels and do all that kind of stuff. I think it's just a little bit easier doing it this way with the magic juice. So I'm a convert for a lot of things. And I think Alumilite came out with I don't know if they're calling it an epoxy polish or whatever, like a plastic polish. There's lots of them out there. I don't know. Any of them will work fine, but that might be something to look into also. See what they came out with. I'll tell you can't really argue with this, man. This thing is just flawless looking. So like spinning on the lathe, it looks super glossy. So let's get you guys in here. Real quick, I'm gonna put these magic juices away. Get you guys in here. Drop you down just a little bit. Maybe kind of off to the side. Whoo, man. I mean, that looks pretty darn cool. I like the dished out top. That's pretty cool too. See what I mean? Like, if you saw these things being cast, they were full, but all you can kind of see are like little remnants. It's kind of weird. Kind of cool looking though. All right, so let's get this thing, get the stopper put on there. Gonna zoom you guys out a little bit more. I don't even want to touch that thing. I'm putting gloves on. It's so glossy. I just feel like looking at it wrong is going to make it dull. Or duller somewhere. Okay, so just remove that. And again, stainless bottle stoppers. Got it at Turner's Warehouse. Woo! I did a pretty good job sanding that thing. I gotta be honest. If I do say so myself, polish the heck out of it. All right. So what do you guys think? Yeah. Yeah, it's very shiny. I mean, like, everything just reflects off of it. It's hard to find a direction to hold it where it's not, something's not reflecting off. This is pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. So a big thank you to Frank for sending those in. Again, what these aren't real lifesavers. He made a silicone mold of lifesavers and then cast a bunch of them that way. And so, obviously, I mean, it turned great. It's 100% resin. There was no issues with bonding or anything like that. Looks pretty cool. There's a lot of really interesting stuff going on with these things. So it just, you know, it makes you really realize if you have silicone and you have resin, I mean, you can cast anything, you know, just mundane, random stuff around your house, lifesavers or, you know, whatever. You can make a mold of it and recast it. Now, if you wanted to get more of like a lifesaver color, I wouldn't use a transparent dye. That's what he used, probably Alumilite dye to make, you know, added with the resin. You could go with something like Divine Pigments. You could put mica powder in there to make your like lifesavers in this case. You could even just add a little bit of white Alumilite dye to, you know, like one of these was red. So red is totally transparent, but if you add a little bit of white, that'll kind of make it a little bit opaque. And the more white you add, the more opaque it becomes, but then to make it red, the more red you're going to have to add. So just watch your amounts that you put in there, but you could do all kinds of different stuff with this. So pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Magic, I don't think magic juice is that expensive. I mean, I don't know, relative terms, you know, especially if you're like comparing it to buying a buffing setup, it's cheaper. It's way cheaper than that. Let's see here. Why is my dad turning his radio on? I don't want to listen to that. Okay, so it's sold out. Well, that sucks. So the one, what do I have here? Let me see. There's a couple different sizes. I have the 1 ounce bottles. This is the set of 1 ounce bottles is $30. I mean, I guess it's not cheap, but I mean, this stuff, especially depending on what you're doing, this is again why I was like, I'm probably going to use this for like pens, stoppers seems to be okay, but you know, I'm not going to dump a bunch of this polish on like a bowl. That's where you're just kind of wasting the stuff. I think it's great for smaller things though, and I think if you're just using it for that, I think you're probably going to get through quite a few pens. So I don't know if Mark has used this for longer than me. I think Mark makes more stuff than me, so he might know a little bit more about how long it'll last. I don't know. Oh yeah, postage to the UK kind of that kind of changes thing. But you know, there's nothing necessarily spectacular. This is just all like polish, you know, different types of polishes, which is also just again, you know, abrasives in sequential, you know, getting finer and finer as you go, right? And so you can use like a few different types of like car polish. I guarantee this stuff is the same stuff as like some car polishes. So you could do it that way if you don't have access to this. I think this is a great setup. So it's kind of one of those things like you could go and cobble it together, but you know, trying to find different brands of stuff, and it might be cheaper and whatever, but this is already ready. So I mean, you know, for people that postage isn't a problem, I don't know, but if you can't get it, you know, like, or have to pay exorbitant prices to get it to you, then you might be able to just look around at local places. You know, you could go to like if you have a place that has like auto detailing supplies, you might even talk to them and say, hey, I got these, you know, plastic things that I want to, you know, polish up. Do you have a set of polishes, you know, car polishes that would do kind of the same thing? And then I think the tough thing would be to find one where you're like, okay, so how far do I have to sand, you know, before I go with this first one? But there's other ways to do it, basically, that you can get kind of the same idea going. Yeah, doubles. That starts making it kind of ridiculous. But they also have, if you just want to try it, they also have a 10 milliliter sample set, which again, I mean, let's see. So how many milliliters is in an ounce? So these are 30 milliliters for 1 ounce. I should have known that. You can get a 10 milliliter bottle. So a third of these, which is still going to go a long way. And that's $12 for the sample set. So if you just wanted to try that out. Now, again, Turner's Warehouse is out of these things, I think. All of them? Jeez. They're out of them right now. But you can probably get them at Stadium Pen Blanks. can't imagine that they're out of it everywhere. I think they might have just had a pen turners gathering, so that might be part of why they're out. Let me see here. Trying to, yeah, there they are. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a link. So stadiumpenblanks.com. Is there like a page? What's going on here? That's kind of weird. They don't have like a specific page for it, I guess. Let me try and find. There's got to be a page. Okay, this is kind of a weird website. Finishing products. Magic juice. There we go. Okay, so I got you guys a link if you want to check it out. So $12 for the smaller bottles, I think is well worth trying. And that's what I was gonna buy at first, was just the sample thing, and then they sent me out the 1 ounce bottles because that's kind of what most people would use. And they also sent this little it's actually 3D printed, this little holder. So that doesn't come with this holder. I just want to make sure you know that. But it's kind of cool. It has magnets on the bottom. I think you can buy these things, but I mean, you can make your own too. Oh, they just got some Divine Pigments. Nice. Yeah, I'm sure they'll get them back in stock at Turner's soon too. But if you want to just pick them up, you can go to Stadium. That's who sells them. StadiumPenBlanks.com. But I always refer people to Turner's because I'm an affiliate for them. So anyway, let's see. Any other questions that I missed? I don't think so. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm going to kind of plink around a little bit while I'm waiting to hear back. But I think we'll probably get things wrapped up here. So again, don't forget, I think I got some magic juice on my phone. That's fun. Polish that screen. Don't forget, tomorrow I got a cool video I think that you guys hopefully will be helpful for you guys. It's about the air filtration system that I bought for my shop. That I think would, and my biggest thing is I think it would be a good option for a lot of people, and especially turners. So make sure to check that out. I'm pretty excited about the video. I think I did a pretty good job on just getting the video shot too. So let me know when you guys, after you watch it, let me know in the comments. I asked a few questions in the video, so make sure to answer those. They were like, had you seen this particular product before? And do you think it would be something, you know, worth looking into? But let me know how the video was too. I'll be interested to see if you guys liked it or not. Turntex has Divine Pigments. That's cool. Yeah. Well, Turner's had some Divine Pigments. I wish that they. What I need to get, because there's certain things that I use certain colors a lot, and I want to get the bigger ones. But man, I got to be honest. Those Divine Pigments are pretty expensive. If you're using a lot of them anyway. So it's tough, but they are good. Nothing like them. So, all right, guys, I don't see any other questions. So I will see you guys all in the comments of that video tomorrow. Thanks for joining the fun tonight. And then I will see you guys on Wednesday for the next casting live stream. It should be pretty fun. So I will see you guys there. Have some fun in the shop this weekend. Have a great evening tonight, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.